Hey everyone, today let's talk about integers. An integer is a number that is a positive number or a negative number or zero. It is never a decimal, it is never a fraction. Most of us are familiar with adding integers that are positive, like 1 plus 1 equals 2. But if we're adding two negative numbers, -1 plus -1, our answer is going to be negative. It's going to be -2. You can think about this like a number line. If I have -1 and I'm adding another -1 space, then my answer is -2. If I take the number -7 and add 14, my answer is going to be positive, and it's going to be +7. And the reason for this is, again, on the number line, I would start at -7 over here, but I'm adding a +14. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. My answer is +7. This is great to know why this works, but it's easier just to memorize these rules because you don't want to be writing out a number line every time you do a problem with integers. If you have a negative number and the digit itself is smaller than the positive number, your answer is going to wind up being positive. Now we're going to take this -16, we're going to actually subtract the 5 from it, and then it'll be a negative answer. Again, on the number line, if I start with -16 and then I add 5 going this way, I'm going to get to -11. Now let's subtract integers. Let's look at 13 minus a -5. When you have two signs together that are negative, a subtraction and a negative, they both kind of flip on each other, bloop, and they become positive. And I always think, whenever I see the negative, positive, positive, now it's 13 plus 5, and my answer is +18. Let's try it again. I have 2 minus a -3, and sometimes you might see parentheses around there to show you that it's separate. These both become positive, and my answer is a +5. What if you have -9 minus a -3? Well, these two become positive. Now I have a -9 plus a 3, and it's just like my addition rules. I'm going to subtract that 3 from here, and I get a -6. It's negative because the negative digit is bigger. If I have -20 minus 10, this one gets a little tricky. You just kind of have to memorize this rule. This is going to become -20 plus -10. Then you add the 20 and the 10, and it's negative. Let's look at one more of those because it can be a little tricky. Let's say a -5 minus 2. You change this into an addition problem. This is negative, and you get 5, 6, 7, -7 as your answer. When you're multiplying integers, let's say 2 times 3, both of those are positive, so my answer is a +6. What if I have -2 times 3? Well, it's going to be a negative answer. So -6 is that answer. Anytime there is an odd amount of negative signs within your equation, the answer is going to be negative. What if I have 2 times -3? Once again, my answer is negative. Now, if I have 2 negatives, now I have an even amount of negative signs. They cancel each other out. So this is just 6, and it's positive. The same thing happens in division. So if I have 6 divided by 3, of course my answer is a +2. If I have -6 divided by -2, then my answer is 3. It's a +3 because those both became positive. If I have a -6 divided by a 2, my answer is -3 because there's only one negative within the problem. And then if I have 6 divided by -2, I of course am going to get a -3 because there's only one here. If I have a -1 multiplied by a 1 multiplied by a -1, my answer is going to be positive because I have an even amount of negative signs. If there's an odd amount, it carries the negative. If there's an even amount, it becomes a positive. So these both became positive because there's a pair of those, and the answer is 1. If I have negative 1 times positive 1 multiplied by negative 1 multiplied by another negative 1, well, these two have a pair, so they become positive, but there's still this guy here, so the answer is going to be a negative 1. If the problem is negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 negative signs. These two canceled each other out. They became positive. These two became positive. My answer is going to be positive. Let's try it again, where I have negative 2 times negative 2 multiplied by negative 2 multiplied by negative 2 multiplied by negative 2. Will my answer be positive or negative? Well, let's count how many negative signs there are. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 5 negative signs. That is an odd number, so my answer will be negative. And to finish up talking about integers today, let's look at the number negative 46. The absolute value of negative 46 is 46. This means absolute value. And absolute value means the distance from 0. So we're not concerned when we're looking at absolute value with whether the number is positive or negative. On the number line, 46 over here, to get to 0 takes 46 jumps. Not a negative 46 jumps, it just is 46 jumps. And the absolute value of positive 46, again, it's 46 because it's how many jumps it takes to get to 0. So when you're asked to find the absolute value, the answer is always positive.